so much of arrogance, without the humility to be your true representatives. At various moments also, when citizens have the opportunity to choose from among themselves leaders, sometimes we see a hand at work. At other times, the fingers of mischief from the evil one are also at work. We ask for your blessings, guidance, and inspiration on all of us gathered here for our deliberations, in order to see how there could be proper dialogue between religion and civil authorities to work towards ensuring harmonious and peaceful coexistence. Give us the singleness of mind and purpose to put aside sentiments and to work what will be for the common good. We come from you into this world on pilgrimage. To you we go back to account for the fruits of this pilgrimage. May this inspire the sense of humility in us and to enable us to humble ourselves before you and before one another so as to do what will glorify your name. Bless the people who have organized for this meeting. Bless the people who have accepted the invitation to lead and to guide the discussions and our deliberations through presentations. Bless the leadership of NIREC, and at the end of this conference, may our deliberations be fruitful. May our resolutions show us the way forward for peaceful and harmonious coexistence. And upon the completion at the end of our deliberations, lead everybody safely home. We ask this of you, who live and reign forever and ever. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
We thank God for this opportunity to gather for the fourth quarter meeting of the Nigeria Interreligious Council. We thank the Office of the Secretary to Government, especially our big brother and father, Boss Gida Mustafa, the Secretary to Government of the Federation, and Mr. Olusegun Adekule, the Permanent Secretary, General Services Office, for making it possible for NIREC to have the 4 meetings as stipulated in the Constitution of NIREC. We thank the co-chairmen of NIREC for their support to make sure that this NIREC carry out its duties. This is a sign that Nigeria is interested in dialogue and peace building. At the second quarter of the meeting of the Nigeria Interreligious Council, NIREC, on March 29, 2019, at Nikon Luxury Hotel, Abuja, the theme of the meeting was, "Let Peace Reign in Nigeria." At the third quarter meeting of the July 23, 2019, at Sheraton Hotel, Abuja, NIREC deliberated on the theme, "Justice and Good Governance for Peace." Given the need to enhance the cordial relationship between religion and civil government in the present dispensation, we have chosen the theme, "Religion and Civil Authorities in the Dialogue for Nation Building," for the fourth quarter meeting of the year 2019. This meeting being the last meeting for the year, it is only right that we review the activities of the whole year and strategies for the next year, 2020. With the intervention from the Office of the Secretary to Government of the Federation, we were able to furnish and restructure NIREC office at the Federal Secretariat Complex. We created awareness by making NIREC visible in the Federal Secretariat complex and to the nation through interaction with other agencies and organizations with similar vision and mission. We use the print and electronic media to enlighten the public about the need for dialogue and peace. We reach out to some journalists and religious activists whose publications could lead to religious, ethnic, and political conflicts. The Dialogue and Peace Building Committee, chaired by His Royal Highness Alhaji Aliyu Kevi Oba Idanesi II, the Adonogi of South Ibi, intervened in some states that had issues that could lead to conflict between religion and state governments. Among these were the alleged demolition of a mosque in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, and the alleged notice to demolish a church of 110 years old in Kaduna State. The staff of the NIREC Secretariat met with the Director General of the National Youth Service Corps on November 21st, 2019 at the NYSC headquarters in Maitama to discuss how NIREC could reach the young graduates in the NYSC orientation camps. This meeting was published in print media and online media. We thank the DG Brigadier General Shuaib Ibrahim for his hospitality and love for peace in Nigeria. The television project, Echoes from NIREC, in collaboration with the Catholic television, CTV, that commenced in 2019, is designed to enlighten the public on the need for peace through dialogue in Nigeria. For those who could not view the programs on television, the episodes are available in DVDs and YouTube. We thank the participants who made themselves available for the production of the episode so far. We invite scholars of different fields of specialization, religious leaders, traditional rulers, and political leaders to take part in this television project to enlighten the public. This is important for the students and research fellows who regularly visit NIREC office to source for materials for their master's and PhD dissertations. We call on the public to voluntarily support this project through participation, and if need be, we need your financial support also. In the year 2019, NIREC participated actively in the meetings of the Africa Council of Religious Leaders in Tanzania and Uganda. NIREC also participated actively in the 10th World Assembly in Lidau, Germany, at the meeting of the West Africa Interreligious Council in Lomé, Togo. On November 7, 2019, Nigeria was unanimously chosen as the headquarters of the West Africa Interreligious Council, with Executive Secretary of NIREC as the Secretary General. The religious communities in West Africa recognize that they share a common destiny founded on love and peaceful coexistence among all the members of the diverse religious communities. The executive secretaries of the different national interreligious councils of West Africa intend to use the religious institutions of dialogue to promote peace in the West Africa sub-region. The countries in West Africa look up to Nigeria to lead the peace initiative, just as Nigeria played prominent role in the Economic Community of West Africa State Monitoring Group, ECOMOG, to restore peace to Liberia and Sierra Leone. To develop more capacity to sustain the position of Nigeria as the giant of Africa, NIREC keeps reminding the nation that justice and good governance remain the most effective means for the promotion of peace, harmony, mutual coexistence, and the development of a country. To turn Nigeria into earthly paradise, where every citizen could enjoy a abundant life is possible if the political ambition and values of every Nigerian is placed at the service of the common good. We hope and pray for a better Nigeria where religion and civil authorities, through dialogue, will enjoy a peaceful coexistence for nation building. Long live the political leadership of Nigeria. Long live the traditional leadership of Nigeria. Long live the office of the Secretary to Government, SGF. Long live NIREC.
At this point, I would like to call on the chairman of NIREC for their opening speech. The two co-chairmen of NIREC, please. Thank you. A round of applause.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلى الله على النبي الكريم. Your Excellency, the Secretary of the Federal Government, Your Excellency's ambassadors here present, your most distinguished members of Nigerian Interreligious Council here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This morning, we are once more gathered as NIREC, and this our very strong drive to know more about our religions and the way we should and the way we must live together in peace and harmony. This morning, we are once more at the fourth quarter of our quarterly meeting of NIREC, in which we have the opening ceremonies where a few speeches will be given before we go into closed door session. If you remember, most times I allow the co-chairman, the current president, to speak first. But unfortunately, he has challenges with the flight, sent a message that he's coming, but we got somebody to sit in for him and warm his seat, but he has nothing to say until the current president comes, for he has a prepared speech. So the person sitting in for current president is just sitting in so as not to have an empty chair. And as we used to do, whenever the current president finishes his message and I come up, I have to continue adjusting the mic to my height. But even now, I have to adjust the mic to my height because the MC is so short. And so I think maybe they are related with current president. But I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all of us to this quarterly meeting. And most importantly, I would like to welcome the SGF and the representative of the Inspector General of Police, the AIG, and the ambassador of UAE who is here with us. And I'd like to welcome all NIREC members who are able to make it, and I believe people are still working in, since we are used to African time. But as religious leaders, we must do away with African time. If we say 10, it's 10. If we say 11, it's 11. And that's why once the SGF, who came before any one of us here, at 10 o'clock on the dot, we just say we should start. And I don't think this thing will take, this session will take too long, so that we release him to go back to other very important duties. I would like to thank him most sincerely for his passion and commitment to foster understanding between all Nigerians, in various endeavors of life. There's no program we've had since SGF took over, either at NIREC level or the National Council of Traditional Rulers, without him being physically present. And not being physically present, he had always readily and adequately funded all these programs. He attended all the zonal meetings we have had of the National Council of Traditional Rulers so as to foster understanding and talk about insecurity in our country. He had been to Southeast Forum. I was there with him. He'd been to South-South Forum of recent, just last week. He had been to the Northern Forum personally. He had been to the National Council of Traditional Rulers meeting, annual traditional meeting yesterday. He was there. I'm saying this for you to know, since the SGF came on board, he had been so committed and had personally taken it upon himself to physically be present and identify with all of us. So many of us are both traditional leaders and religious leaders. And I think since he came on, we have seen great changes, the way things work. And that's why we're able to revive NIREC. But we still have a lot to do in reviving NIREC. And that's why, if you could remember some years back, we were rotating our NIREC meetings to the geopolitical zones, where both political, religious, and civil society groups always attended our programs at the openings. Lectures were given by Christian and Muslim lecturers. Then the audience also participated by asking questions, by contributing. We must go back to that particular time, because if we are seen going around the country and talking about peace, understanding, peaceful coexistence, I think it's much better than seeing it on TV. After all, not many people have television sets in their homes, and if you have, there is no light. Like since 2 o'clock yesterday, there was no light all over the country. So unless those privileged ones, like Madam Priscilla Kuye, who have generators, they will watch television in their homes. But being physically seen at such programs in various parts of the country, I think does a lot into strengthening this inter-religious understanding. Because we have always talked about understanding of religions, not toleration. And I kept on saying, if you tolerate me, there's nothing you can do about me. Whether you like it or not, I'm Sultan, I'm President General of the Supreme Council, there's nothing you can do about me. Or you are Khan President, you are Bishop Ayokule, and there's nothing I can do about you. Or you are Ambassador of UAE, the most pragmatic country in the world. There's nothing anybody can do about it. But if I understand that, yes, this is the role UAE Ambassador plays in Nigeria, this is the role Christian leaders play in Nigeria, this is the role Muslim leaders play in Nigeria, especially using the two holy books, then there will be understanding and then there will be no problem. But I would like to ask a question. We have had a series of engagements at so many levels. Are we really benefiting from these engagements and moving forward, or we are static or moving backward? These are questions we need to ask ourselves. It's one thing to come for such programs, attend, clap, laugh, make comments, leave, and go back home. Are we taking anything positive out of such conference halls to go back home and use both at our homes, in our families, in our churches or mosques, in our communities, and whatever? Do we have that in our heads? In an honest way, we should ask ourselves. Or do we just come and show face and go, yes, NIREC had met? And people will see NIREC meeting, yes, there is hope. But when you go back to your churches, mosques, and homes, you preach worse than the most vile preachers across the world. Do we do that? I think we have to ask ourselves these questions. And I would like the public to also make comments. And that's why this morning we decided to change the stage a little bit. After the opening speeches by the co-chairman, we're going to have two speakers, one Christian, one Muslim, to talk to us on our theme for about 5-10 minutes. We just coined that one out yesterday, in fact, last night. And I would like to thank those two speakers who voluntarily say, yes, I can speak for 10 minutes on this, and I will be ready to do so. I would like to thank them for their sacrifice. But from now on, we are going to do much more. So the secretary will do more, and when you invite dignitaries to attend such program, please follow up and ensure they do attend. So it's one thing to invite Chief of Army Staff. You don't know his program for that particular day. It's one thing for him to attend, because if he knows the program holds, he could send any of his generals or colonels to come and sit in for him. You have invited ministers who have not seen anybody. So somebody somewhere will think that, oh, these people are not serious. I don't blame them, because definitely there are contending issues of our various offices. But for us, this is our job. We don't have any other job to do. That's why we're always there everywhere. When you see us today in Akwa Ibom, tomorrow you see us in Sokoto, tomorrow in Maiduguri, and so on. That's our job. So I'd like to thank all of you for coming. I'd like to thank the ambassador of UAE for personally being here. Now I will request him also, later he'll give us a goodwill message, because I've been so familiar with UAE when I was doing my military job. And of course, just some few days back, our vice president was in Abu Dhabi, the capital of UAE, for the Forum for Promoting Peace or Understanding in Muslim Societies, in which Sheikh bin Bayah, the founder of that forum, in which I'm a very strong member, had been inviting people across the world, and we've been attending such meetings in Abu Dhabi. But for this program we've had here, the National Council of Traditional Rulers yesterday, the Northern Traditional Rulers Council 2 days back, I would have been in Abu Dhabi too for the program. But I think UAE had been doing a lot in bringing people across the world to know what is understanding, what is mutual respect across all religions. And that's why everybody, the whole world, goes to UAE. And there have been so many conferences which I have been privileged to attend and spoken at such a forum. I'm making this comment because the ambassador is here. Let's see how we can, through the embassy of UAE, through the government of UAE, with NIREC, how do we strengthen this relationship and then do more? How do they come in and help us do some programs? If we decide to go around some parts of the country to do A, B, C, D, to help some helpless community, how can they come in and help us? I know they are ready to do that, and they will do that. I would like to thank all of you for attending. I would like to reserve my comments later on when we go into closed door session to say more. On your behalf, I would like to thank the SGF and all those who are here for this program, and pray to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make our deliberations very successful. This is the end of the year. This is the last meeting for the quarter. And for our Christian brothers, we wish you Merry Christmas. And for everybody, we wish you brand new Happy New Year. And may 2020 bring in better days for us in Nigeria and in the world. And may peace and stability continue to reign. Let's rise up and check the extremists among us. Let's rise up, come together and check these extremists and stop them from creating more dangers. Let's see how we can check all this banditry and insurgencies. Let's see how we can come together and take our children off the streets and into schools. Because a lost child on the street is a Nigerian, and he needs everybody's love and support. Whether he is a Hausa or Fulani or Yoruba or whatever it is, he's still a Nigerian child. We must protect him, we must educate him. Let's see how we can strengthen our educational systems so that our children will be seen off the streets, in schools, become better children. The theme today is on civil society, the governance system and whatever. The one we had yesterday at the National Council of Traditional Rulers was on drug abuse and community policy. The IG personally was there, the vice president too was there, and I believe issues of drug abuse must be put on the front burner, because what you heard yesterday from General Marwa is really so frightening, that we have over 14 million drug abusers all over the place. And I think it's important for us to see, as religious leaders, how can we work together? Put aside sentiments, because we are all created by one God Almighty. Put aside sentiments and work as one big family. And when we do that, I think the Almighty Allah will be so pleased with us and grant us success in all what we are doing. So I wish you all the very best. So I took time to say my few, since the current president is not here. But when he comes, as usual, we'll adjust the mic to down to his level, and then he will give his, because he has a prepared speech, as he told us, and it's because of the flight. Well, maybe you can ask Madam Priscilla Kuye to come and stand in for him. Because they are brother and sister. They are all from Ibadan. No. So thank you most sincerely. And I want to thank the Secretariat. Please continue to work hard. There is a lot to be done. There are a lot of challenges. We are not unaware of these challenges. But to know you have a problem, you have half of the solution. The other half is to wake up from our deep slumber and make Nigeria a better place, where anybody, everybody, anywhere, at any time will be so free, practice his or her religion, do whatever you think is right, according to the laws of the land. We should never keep the laws away. We must be law-abiding. If the court say A, B, C, D, so be it. If you want to challenge, go to the other higher court, and continuously until you get to the highest, the Supreme Court. But if you are given an order and you refuse to obey by a particular court, because you are a governor, because you are a local government chairman, because you are a president, because you are sultan, because you are a current president, or because you are SGF who control the government machinery, then there will be problems. Because no society, I repeat, no society will prosper through lawlessness. No society. So we must be law-abiding, and I want to assure you, as religious leaders, we will do our best to continue to draw the attention of our political leaders in particular. They are the ones Almighty God placed the leadership of this country on their hands, on their heads, in their hands. And I think we are working together, as you can see, and through the SGF, we want to convey our gratitude to the federal government, to the president, for being there for us, and assure him of our total support, assure him of our total cooperation, because we don't have any other country but Nigeria. Thank you very much for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
His Eminence, ladies and gentlemen, if your hands are not too busy, let us welcome Dr. Aisha Salihu Lemu to give us a paper presentation.
The topic for today is religion and civil authority in dialogue for nation building. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Gida Mustafa, the Co-Chairman, Nigerian Interreligious Council, all other protocols duly observed. Religion is a way of life. It has to do with customs, norms of individuals, practicing the faith. It recognizes authority through laws embedded in holy books. The two main religions practiced in the world, Islam and Christianity, preach in their holy scriptures ways of attaining peace. This can be achieved through tolerance, discipline, sincerity, recognition of constituted authorities, whether faith-based or civil in nature. Interaction between authorities, whether faith-based or civil authorities, depends on the platform of interaction. Point of discourse, aimed meant to be achieved. For example, the Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, who is a renowned Islamic cleric, is to balance between such authority. In the same vein, Governor of a state, who is also a cleric, can balance between governing people and practicing the religion. This can be proved through places of worship between religions. It suffices that in northern Nigeria, where mostly are Muslims and the authority of the religion is more Islamic, but Christians practicing their religion in a recognized place of worship approved by the authority. For instance, Kano State has the highest number of churches in northern Nigeria. This alone is an attestation that dialogue between religion and civil authorities is practicable and symbolic. Constituted civil authorities should have a listening ear to religious authorities, especially in areas that will foster peace, peaceful coexistence. This can be achieved through tolerance and giving the religion its right to practice and place of practices, that's places of worship. In this regard, the bone of contention in most places where religion is practiced is the symbolic place of worship, which stands out as an identity of the religion. In a nutshell, you cannot have practicing Christians where there is no church, or practicing Muslims where there are no mosques. Thank you, and God bless you.
And I will move on to our next speaker. I don't know, yesterday someone said it's a ladies' affair. The ladies is the MC, the two guest speakers are ladies. Well, it's a lady affair. Please, a round of applause for us. The next speaker is Reverend Sister Dr. Nkechi Lillian Iwoha. She belongs to the American province of the Poor Handmaids of Jesus Christ congregation. She is a member of the American provincial leadership of her congregation. She is a part-time adjunct of the faculty of Calumet College of St. Joseph Whitening, located in the state of Indiana, USA, where she teaches ethics in criminal justice. Her specialization is law and public policy. She is a speaker you would definitely want to listen to. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Reverend Sister Dr. Nkechi Lillian Iwoha.
So the Nigerian Constitution, of course, presupposes that individuals has the freedom to practice any religion of his or her choice without government interference. That being said, this statement provides the backdrop on which dialogue becomes an important element in fostering healthy communication between Christianity, Islam, and traditional religion of our ancestors and the government. In this way, modeling the conversation that should be happening at interpersonal level among all the citizens of Nigeria. So the positive impact of this type of dialogue can trickle down to social change, and this cannot be overstated. Religion is a faith-based process that can have positive or negative effect on governance and the behavioral attitude of each Nigerian citizen or believer. For this reason, it becomes imperative for civil authority to engage each religion as one of the components to enhance human dignity and peace building. If this link between dialogue with religions, peace, and development is understood, then the alleged demolition of a mosque in Port Harcourt, River State, and the alleged notice to demolish a church of 110 years old in Kaduna State should not even be an idea to be conceived. Because this stance, the negative stance negates what is stated in the Constitution and has potential to stir conflict and violence, which disturbs peace and justice. When people feel no freedom to exercise their belief, They feel marginalized, their rights denied, they resort to violence. And they call to the plight that each of us as Nigerians, we know what it means to live in a violent environment. And we know how this has slowed down our overall development, destroyed the fabric of our society, caused instability, and has given us bad name with the global community, as other offshoot problems resulting to violence rages and ravages our land. Some of the examples being unemployment and human trafficking. I was in Lampedusa and I saw where almost 200 Nigerians perished and where they were buried. And so the need for public servants who are objective, respectful of differences, and have the political will and commitment to see dialogue with religion and civil authority as panacea to nation building. Public servants who do not want to use religion as a tool to divide and rule, we should really think about that when we go to exercise our rights as citizens who are capable of voting. We should say no to government officials who will not value and make the connections between dialogue with religions and ensuring justice and peace and upholding the constitutional rights of every Nigerian. We should say yes to politicians who understand that without justice, there will be no peace. Without peace, there will be no development. And without liberating educational development that takes into cognizance needs of each citizen and each religious belief that we have in this country, then we cannot claim to be independent as a nation or even claim to be the giants of Africa. So we should be modeling what we actually are as the very nation that represents Africa in many ways. So thank you, God bless, as we continue this conversation.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, join me in welcoming a Doctor of Business Administration and Economic Diplomacy. He is a strategist. He holds the Sheikh Rashid Award for Scientific Outstanding 2019, the Best Director and Head of Mission by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, UAE. He is His Excellency Dr. Fahad Al-Tafaq, the Ambassador of the United Arab Emirates to Nigeria. He will give us a special goodwill message.
I am very much proud and privileged to join you this morning. I'd like to stand upon existing, well-established protocol of our distinguished guests, their excellencies, their royal highnesses, their eminences, the traditional leaders and religious and thought leaders of Nigeria. It is my pleasure to be with you today, and I would like also to pay sincere thanks to the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Interreligious Council, Father Professor Cornelius Omonukwa, for the invitation to join in this very significant meeting to promote dialogue. As the theme of this quarter meeting is religious and civil authorities in dialogue for nation building, this theme truly resonates because in order for a nation to grow, there needs to be effective dialogue and mutual respect between stakeholders at all levels. It is important more than ever for us to unite as one, regardless of the background or religion. This ideology is a universal concept practiced in the UAE. The year 2019, ladies and gentlemen, was declared in the UAE as the Year of Tolerance. It aims at promoting an atmosphere of acceptance, mutual respect, and peaceful coexistence. A perfect example of which is that in February 2019, His Holiness Pope Francis visited the UAE. This represented the first visit by a pontiff to the Arabian Peninsula. We also signed, along with the Pope and Sheikh of Al-Azhar the document of human fraternity for world peace and living together, outlining the country's resolve to instill a culture of tolerance and acceptance. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we value and cherish our strong relationship that we share with the good people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This does not only include the cooperation in political and economic sector, but also in cultural exchange and religious sectors. As mentioned by Cecil and by His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, the UAE have executed a dialogue on interfaith tolerance, consisting of panels from various religions back in October. We hosted traditional leaders. We joined together with them on an open dialogue to build mutual understanding and respect among all religions. We discussed various topics around interfaith tolerance and peace promotion. In addition to that, we've embarked onto various humanitarian initiatives that impacted more than 22,000 people in Nigeria just in 2019. We are proud of the work that we do for the community and hope to continue leading by example on spreading the importance of tolerance. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we witnessed over the past years the rise of violent extremism associated with religions, in addition to right-wing populism and ultranationalism. We saw how religion was kidnapped by extremists and terrorists and how they violated the sanctity of human life. Examples of which are groups such as ISIS, ISWAP, Al-Qaeda in Arabian Peninsula, Boko Haram and Ansaro and others. Having said that, I want to emphasize on the central role of religious and thought leaders in promoting peace, tolerance, and coexistence in societies. It is with those values instilled in the society we shall move toward countering violent extremism ideologies. I was profoundly proud to accompany His Excellency Professor Yemi Osinbajo the past few days in his participation at the 6th Assembly of the Forum for Promoting Peace in Muslim Societies, where Nigeria was showcased to the world as an example of diversity and as an example of tolerance. There was an enchanting moment spread in the entire audience upon the conferring of the Peace Promotion Award by His Excellency Sheikh Abdullah bin Baya to Imam Abu Bakr Abdullahi of Plateau State in Nigeria. Due to the Imam Abu Bakr impeccable courage and belief in the need to respect each other, protect each other no matter what the religion is. His story of saving 262 Christians in his village from being killed and providing for them shelter in his house and his mosque is an exemplary notion that we hope to see more of. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that today's meeting allows us not to only explore our common ground, but also build on it. I look forward to building a relationship with the members of the Nigeria Interreligious Council, as well as other relevant stakeholders to explore areas of collaboration and explore also initiatives that we can do together, as His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto has mentioned. Your Eminence, we are readily available to work together and to explore how we can add value to each other in order to achieve the common targets of human coexistence and peace promotion in Nigeria. Withstanding on existing protocol, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, Your Eminences, and Royal Highnesses, I thank you all for your time today, and it's a pleasure being with you today, and I wish you successful deliberations. Thank you very much.
Now it's time for your contributions and comments, and His Eminence will help us through that while I take the microphones around, I guess.
Comments, just please be very brief. All comments made from my opening remarks, even to the comment by His Excellency the Ambassador. So let me start from, I'll start from nobody from the left. All these are just, No, I will first, I don't want to be sort of selfish by calling on my colleagues, the NIREC members. let me recognize non-NIREC members. Bishop, you know you are not a NIREC, but you are a NIREC worker. We pay you salary. So, yes, at the back with resource control cap. Stand up. No, okay, you are two. The one with black suit. With the resource, yeah. Yes, tell us your name briefly and then straight to the point. No protocol. Your name?
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Khalifa Muhammad bin Yahya, and then I am the Secretary General of MSS and AMAC. Sir, my comment, I just want to ask, this is a question to the NIREC executive.
The mic down.
Okay. I want to ask a question, sir, and then it has to do with how far NIREC has gone towards ensuring that this message of dialogue and peace building gets to the local imams and local pastors that we have. That's the question, because one of the things I found out is that when it comes to the issue of violent extremism in the country, it starts from somewhere. And all of the scholars we've been able to identify that talk every day, I mean, we're able to regulate that. However, those that are in the local places, we don't really have control over it. So how far has NIREC gone to ensure that the message gets to them? Thank you very much.
My name is Abdurrahman Balogun. I'm of the Muslim Media Practitioners of Nigeria. It's good that we're having this discourse. And I want to say that in the last 2 weeks, this is about the 9th one we'll be having on religion and dialogue for nation building. And talking about, we just had a conference in Nigeria at the University of Abuja, which ended yesterday. But suffice it to say that what the distinguished guest lecturer, the Reverend sister, said, that when you have injustice, and then you say you are doing dialogue, and you know within yourself that what you are doing is injustice, then you can never get justice. You can never get fairness. You can never get peace. So what I want to say in essence is that for us to really have in dialogue, we have to be sincere, and then we really have to be fair to one another. Let me just cite an instance. I'm involved in a matter that has to do with religion. I'm involved in a matter that has to do with some children, little children, adorning hijab. And the judge, 3 times, each adjourned case said, this is Muslim, this is Christian, you are neighbors. Go and negotiate. Go and negotiate. Go and dialogue. Come back to me. Whatever you resolve, I will rule on it. And we went. And then we said, look at it. These girls, have they run foul of the law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? No. Run foul of the law establishing the school? No. Then why are you insisting? He said, no, we cannot allow you to be using it, because they will know that these people are Muslims, and others, we are discriminating against them. So what we are saying in essence is that where you don't really have this justice, you are not fair to others, you are not sincere in our dialogue, then we will not get to where we are. So I want to canvass. When we are having dialogue on religion, let us be fair, let us be sincere, and then we will get the desired peace. Thank you very much.
Yes, somebody else, any other person, I will just listen to you, then we'll make, but let me just cut these two off as what they said. Maybe the gentleman who spoke first came a bit late, but part of what I said, when we discuss issues like this, we go out, do we really implement some of these things? But in the last, in the last 13 years, since we revived NIREC, we've always been talking to ourselves, we must go back to the grassroots. We even said all states should establish NIREC at local government levels. And these are things we have said, but of course there are issues, political issues and whatever, but it's an issue that we believe in. And then also as a follow-up, there's no substitute for dialogue. The second speaker said there's no need for it if there is injustice and whatever. Whatever you want to do, you should never disregard dialogue. You should never keep away dialogue. Because you must continue to sit down and talk. No matter how bad you feel about anything, continue talking. that talking is the panacea, is the antidote, is the medicine that you need to take to have hope. Yes, it will be resolved. If an issue is in court, of course it's in court. We expect the judge to just take the Constitution and say, this is what the Constitution says, and rule on it. But say two of you go back and listen and dialogue and talk. Yes, there's nothing wrong with that. Because like we kept on saying, even wars are fought to keep peace. Even wars, when you see people fighting wars, they're trying to keep peace. So if you know you can keep peace by avoiding war and talk, why do you have to fight wars? Why do you have to go to the battlefield? So let's never get this illusion about outcomes of certain things we are doing. Let's continue to have hope that dialogue will ultimately win whatever problem we have. So second, yes, Bishop Mosquito. He should tell you why he's called Bishop Mosquito. Tell them why you are called Bishop Mosquito.
His Eminence is responsible for it. SGF, probably to be in your records, we were in DC to launch the NIFA and to fight the war against malaria when we realized that malaria is killing 300,000 Nigerians every year. And His Eminence and Archbishop Onaiko, in signing the deal in DC, he shared with them how Mosquito is going to church on Sunday and also going to the mosque on Fridays. And since I was asked to pursue those mosquitoes, we've been fighting it very well, so he called me Bishop Mosquito. So yeah, so His Eminence is responsible for this. My question goes to the SGF. His Eminence made a wonderful statement here about rule of law. The last time you were here with us, we engaged you and you explained issues affecting government and the people. And here we are in the past few days. Nigeria, both at the local and international community, is facing a major challenge that has to affect with Showore and Bakare, who were arrested, we were told, in the court. And we're glad you are here. And this is a great opportunity to share with these great faith leaders, what is it that is going on? There has to be something federal government knows that we, ordinary people, do not know. Your Excellency, if you are in a public place and you are speaking, and if you have lived in the village like me, and all of a sudden you are speaking, you realize that inside your private part, soldier ant has entered and is biting you, and you are in the public place, you are speaking. What are you going to do with soldier ant biting you in the public place?
You pray that they leave you. Yes, Marafa.
Your Excellency, my name is Justice Abdulkadir Orire, Pioneer Grand Kadi of Kwara State. I want to cite 3 instances, and I feel this body should feel concerned. I was a member of 1999 Constitution Review of Nigeria, and a member of 1999 Constitution. Before our Christian counterpart allows Sharia personal law to be included in the Constitution, it took us very months for that law. Sharia criminal law was rejected. Sharia criminal law was rejected. It's only Sharia personal law that were allowed. The Muslims accepted it that way. The second one was what Your Royal Highness on our girl wearing hijab into law school. I think it was until when you intervened, when they allow our girl to put on hijab, which is part of our religion. The third one is in my state, in Kwara State. Girls were refused to be allowed to put on hijab. That means what the Sharia allowed them to cover their head until we went to court. And the court finally decided that putting on hijab is part of our culture, part of our religion. We should not be rejected. So what I'm saying in so many languages is that the dialogue should embrace everybody, And the dialogue, we should know that it belongs to everybody to practice our freedom of religion. When you have your own way of life, your own way of dress. If there is no this type of thing, there will be no dialogue. Thank you very much.
Yes, the madam in red, the lady in red. You have, let's take 3 more because you are all.
Good morning, everyone. All protocols duly observed. My name is Dr. Mrs. Loretta Chudume. I'm the president and founder, Women of Like Minds Empowerment Initiative and Evergreen Global Peace Initiative. Okay, I'm the president and founder, Women of Like Minds Empowerment Initiative and Global Peace Pageant, Evergreen Global Peace Initiative as well. I'm very happy that some women groups are here because women play a very vital role in nation building. And I'm also happy that His Eminence is here, who is a very respected religious leader in Nigeria and the world. What I want to say is, how can we as a people, and as an organization or as organizations, as government, even as NIREC, to help to help the children in the street? Because it's a major problem we're having. These children will grow up to cause problems for us. As we try to dialogue and promote peace and see how we can help Nigeria, these children, I don't know what we can do as a people to help those children in the streets. Because me, as a person, and with some of my Muslim friends, because most of those children are Muslims, so some of my Muslim friends and our organization have tried to see how we can get some of those children off the streets and put them in school. But research has shown that some of them have some sponsors who can come after us, that why are you taking them back to school? So His Eminence is here today, who is very respected, and some of our religious leaders, and even the government, highly representative from the government, we're all here. So I want us to see how we can bring those children out of the street. Thank you.
Maybe you didn't understand what I said in my opening remarks about the children on the street and whatever. Because the responsibility of all of us, I said it, that even one child, maybe you are not here then, but I made comment on that because there is an estimate, which we don't know where it comes from, of almost 13 million children out of school. And of course, so the governments are very aware of this, and we're working hand in hand. In fact, we're going to have a summit. We've been having summits, and we're going to have another summit very soon on some of these issues, where we discuss on educating these children. But it's not the responsibility of the government, and I believe they will do something about it. We are doing something about it. It's what everybody knows. As Imam Abdurrahman.
Thank you, sir. My issue really is with provocation. We have been talking about dialogue, we have been talking about tolerance, we have been talking about mutual accommodation. But in an atmosphere of provocation, what do we do? Especially when the issue of provocation is not being addressed as it should, even in gatherings like this. There are a lot of instances of avoidable provocation. And I'll give just one instance. There is a mosque, a church, not too far from where I live. And very early in the morning, almost every day, it has become a habit. At about the time we're getting ready to pray subh, they will also increase the decibel of their public address system, and the constant message is those who put bandage on their heads, referring to the turban. We have been wondering whether they have headache, and if they have headache, they should come to Jesus to get Panadol. You know, this happens almost every morning. We have gone to report at the police station, the police told us that there is no law under which they will prosecute them. I don't believe them. Maybe they are unwilling to. But I think as we address the question of tolerance, the question of dialogue, we must also address the question of provocation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Boys, that's what we need to discuss as religious leaders amongst us. You know, I'm proud of my bandage. Just like a deputy is proud of his skull cap, just like the Archbishop and the Pope proud of their tiara. So it's just human tendencies, because people must always provoke somebody. You know, and the moment you start getting too close to pay so much attention, you become mad. If you know a madman is a madman, and he wants to fight you, and you start fighting him, they'll say we have seen two madmen fighting, because he'll also become a madman. But if you know he's mad, leave him to his madness. Let him continue shouting. When he gets tired, he will leave you free. Yes, please, 2 more comments. We are going to close on NIREC. We can discuss so many of these issues closed so that we can allow SGF. Yes, I dig with it.
So I think one of the major problems we are facing in our nation today is the problem of the social media. And you have a lot of misinformation, because from what we've been able to discover, no mosque was demolished in Port Harcourt. It is a fact. And also, the notice I was given to the judge in Kaduna, everybody spoke about it, and that was altered. And that came up because of what people believe has happened in Port Harcourt. So really, in our country, we need to be careful with what we put on the social media. And that caused a lot of problems. But there is one that is important now. When we talk of dialogue, you are looking for an environment that is conducive. The present situation we have in our nation is not conducive, because we have a lot of young people that are not working. And yesterday, the House of Representatives said a state of emergency must be declared on unemployment. And an idle hand is the devil's workshop. So there are things we must look into beyond religion and what the traditional ruler can do. You can only talk to somebody that is sensible, that has his brain working properly. But young people that don't have anything to do must find something to do. So that's the problem we are facing. And until we address such, because the number of people that you find either in Boko Haram, in Niger Delta militants or whatever, they are young people and they want to be engaged. The moment they are not engaged, they can put any coloration and they'll be giving trouble in the society. So major problem that we have at hand is unemployment, and also amongst us, our religious leaders, sincerity. We must be sincere. Anybody that wants to go to equity must go with a clean hands and ensure that whatever we decide on is implemented to the letters. Thank you.
Non-NIREC member, 2 non-NIREC members. There's one gentleman with black cap, with glasses. I'm sure you're not NIREC. Are you NIREC member?
No, sir.
Then who are you?
My name is
Tell us who you are.
Hussein Abubakar, Age, President of the Northern Youth Council of Nigeria. Hussein Abubakar. Yes. So, sir, my own is to appreciate you for what you have done for us. Because sincerely speaking, the issue of River State is an inter-religious dialogue issue. Because I am the son of the late Etunupe of Port Harcourt. So we know the kind of crisis that we face there. And the last time that you went there, you have a discussion with the executive, the governor of River State, Mr. Wike. For the first time, a Muslim was given a political appointment in the cabinet of the River State leadership. What we are saying to NIREC is we are pleading to you, the Sultan of Sokoto, to also have a dialogue again on interfaith conference in River State, whereby you will talk about so many issues between the Rivers people and the non-Rivers people, because there is a serious crisis there. Some people do not believe that faith works. Some believe that they can use their influence, their positions, they'll use gun and intimidate whatever they want. But what we want, if people can understand reason of faith, that faith works, being you a Muslim, being you a Christian, we believe it will change the narrative of the state, and it will reduce the rate of crimes, the militancy, the violence, the rape, the violence against women, and so many things. So we are still pleading to NIREC to have time to have a peace conference of interfaith conference in a River State with the executive cabinet of the state being involved in these issues. Thank you, sir.
Actually, we were supposed to visit Rivers, myself and current president, some times back, but due to tight schedules, we couldn't. But we will look at all these issues, and whatever we can do, we will do for the peace in our country. But I want to tell you that one of the Muslim leaders in Rivers, has a case with me in court. He took me to court that I must declare him the Muslim leader in Rivers State. And the issue is still in court. So if a Muslim can take me to court, as President General of the Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, the case is still in court in Rivers. You know, so I'm just telling you, I want this audience to know, the problem is not just between Muslim and non-Muslims, it's also Muslim-Muslim. You insist you must be the Muslim leader in the state. So, NCC Oga.
Your Eminence and the House, I stand on the existing protocols. Just like His Eminence said, many of these issues will be better trashed at the NIREC meeting, which
then sit down.
No, sir, I have a point, sir.
What you said?
No, sir, I said, except that because of the presence of His Excellency, the Secretary to the Federal Government, I want to speak on the area of the Nigerian nation. Though we are from different backgrounds, religious backgrounds, traditional backgrounds, I think when it comes to the institutions, government institutions, government should have a policy. For instance, we are talking of this hijab thing. We are talking of people dressing in the church way. I am thinking, because we are trying to project Nigeria, what is dividing us in this country is this ethnic and religion thing. So government should find a way of having uniformity in their institutions. If you have a school, for instance, we want to have a uniform. Yes, I am a Christian or I am a Muslim. My way, though religion is a way of life, truly, but my way of life should also have limitation when it comes to projecting Nigeria. So Nigeria will say, okay, if we want to have a uniform, let us have a uniform that will take a little from our culture, a little from religion, and balance it and have one common thing for us in the name of institutions that belong to government. And I think until we are able to differentiate this, if everybody will say, okay, we are Christians in the school, my Christian students should dress like Christians, my Muslim students should dress like Muslims. We are not helping the Nigerian project. And I think, and the traditional institution also, they want to dress like traditionalists. So I'm just talking because the SGF is here, sir. Government has a very big role to play in harmonizing all interests and then coming up with one thing that will represent Nigeria. That is my submission. Then finally, sir, I want to react to my brother said this in the sir. If I was a pastor in Agege and where just close to my church, I hear a lot of sermons that also from the mosque that also brings down the church. But what I do is that I go out. Sometimes I engage the imams. I say, look at your mosque, is there, and your sermon every day. There are some things that is not. So I'm thinking, sir, especially as a member of NIREC, with that your position, if there is a church that is doing that close to you, engage that pastor, because what he's doing, like he has said, is provoking violence. So, but on our own, rather than going to the police station, by the time we engage ourselves, dialogue with us as a pastor, I listened to your sermon today. What are you expecting from us? And that is, we go in line with what His Eminence has said here, that how are we implementing those things we discuss in NIREC? So we also have roles to play. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I will take a last comment. And before the last comment, what he just finished saying, it will not be possible for government. Anyway, I'm not speaking for government. I'm speaking as a religious leader. Because I know God created us to worship Him. And in worshiping Him, there are rules and regulations. There are covenants, there are things like that. Now, if as a Muslim, I'm supposed to dress in such a way before I worship God Almighty, or before God to be pleased with me that I am being a real Muslim, government should not come and trample on my rights of that religion. So if somebody wants to wear hijab to go to school, there's nothing wrong with that. I've seen federal government colleges that wear hijab. The girls wear hijab. Nobody said anything to them. What the government should do, I'm not speaking for SGF, but he will speak, is to have a level playing field. Everybody is taken care of. If Babalawo wants to wear his whatever it is to go to, but that is just, but you know, it's just, but what's the problem with Nigeria? There's a lot of competition. Because this man does this, me too, I must do it. There was never like Christian Pilgrims Commission before, but there is, because the pilgrimage to Jerusalem and other holy lands were never made compulsory for Christians. But for Muslims, it's one of the 5 pillars of Islam, if you can afford it. So Hajj is there. And for years, but if you remember 2011, I gave a short talk to Khan executive on you and your Muslim neighbor. And I brought it up, and everybody agreed. I said, but because if you feel going to Jerusalem will make you a better Christian, so be it. Let the government help you to go to Jerusalem. Let the Christian Pilgrim Commission, yes, do its work. Because we're all Nigerians, we're all eating from the same pot. So what's good for the goose is good for... So, and I said there's nothing wrong with that, but we all know, for us Muslims, Islam, I mean, for one of the 5 pillars of Islam, is hard if you can afford it. But we know, and you know better than me. But some of these issues are just there. Like you said, let's talk about some of these issues. But there must be understanding. Because if you wake up every morning to call, we have had issues with some Muslim clerics. For example, now, the call to prayer 5 times a day. You call to prayer for people wherever they are to come to the mosque. Most people don't go to the mosque to pray. They pray in their homes. So why do you have to call? Some people said, yes, you are allowed them, it's time for prayer. So if you have a small mosque and nobody really comes there, why do you have to have a loudspeaker that you could hear the sound 20 miles away? But these are the things for dialogue and understanding. So if you have a church close to a mosque or in a Muslim community, and then every day, every morning this man wakes up and starts insulting people, you know, it's not right. Like you said, it's provocation. So why can't security agencies warn him? There are laws in our constitution and legal systems that can take care of all these things. But we don't do so. We do things with impunity, and nobody is punished. That's just it. So we can discuss some of these issues, but there must be this understanding. And I totally agree with what Imam Abdurrahman said. It's not right for anybody to come and say, yes, you are this, you are that, come to Jesus. Yes, when you want to call people to your religion, you don't insult them. If you insult them, then they'll say, oh, that your religion is of insult. I won't go. That's it. So for us Muslims, we know how to bring you, and I'm working on you to come and... I'm working on you to convert.
You see? So last comment from a non-direct. There's that young man at the back had been raising his hand for the past 1 hour. At the last one. Quick one so that we'll go to one more.
Yeah, thank you, sir. All protocols duly observed. My name is Dennis Bani. When I came in here, I observed that all speech has been only about Christians and Muslims. I came here, I did not see a Babalawo. I've seen a pastor and an imam. So my question is, at the end of this program, an imam will go to the mosque, we tell his worshippers how to build the nation. The pastor will tell the worshippers in the church how to build the nation. Who are those that will tell the Ifa worshippers how to build the nation? You see that in our society these days, the pastor cannot have anything to do with a Babalawo. A pastor cannot walk openly with a Babalawo because he believes that the Babalawo is an unbeliever. So my question is, what makes a pastor a believer and a Babalawo unbeliever? In a state in the southwest, when they were about to install a king, and the Babalawos were there to do all the rituals before installing the king. Some children were about to go there to go and observe what is going on. It was allowed. It was an installation of the king. But the parents were like, hey, where are you going? We are going to where Babalawo is. No, you cannot go there. But the parents are forgetting that the king is not only for Babalawo worshippers, but the king is for the king, is the king in the whole of the village. So the question is, when we are talking about NIREC, we say NIREC is Nigeria Interreligious Council. So my question is, sir, are Babalawos in NIREC? Are Ahmadiyya priests, are they in NIREC? So the question is, they also have a part to play in nation building. So until we bring them to nation building, then you see that Nigeria cannot really progress. Thank you, sir.
There are no, please listen. There are no Babalawos in NIREC. And there will not be Babalawos in NIREC. Why? Because this body is a voluntary group put together by Christians and Muslims, not by a government. It's not a government organ. But I have been saying it so that people to understand that government helps us because we are working for them to stabilize the nation. That's why they take care of our expenses. But it's an organization put together by Christian and Muslim groups. When Baba Mbang was the CAN president and my brother Sultan Machido was President General Supreme Council, when Obasanjo was head of state, was president, that's how this NIREC came together, because 98% of Nigerians are either Christians or Muslims. So if you have 98% doing one thing, I think it's much better. If the 2% will do other things, they go to the Atlantic Ocean and do other. There's nothing wrong with that. That's their belief. We have no grudge against that one. I remember some 6-7 years ago, I remember very well, I received a letter from one professor, I won't call his name. He wrote on behalf of African traditional religious leaders that they want to join NIREC, African traditional religion. We now said, well, sorry, NIREC is by Christians and Muslims. It's not an open thing. And once you know, we know that once you say religion, we know it's either Islam or Christianity. Because of the majority numbers of Nigeria, the majority numbers we have in this country are either Christians or Muslims. And that's why I think this forum is very good. We started with only 1/4 full. Now we have full house because people are coming in one by one. So that's just the point. So it's good I allow you to speak. Maybe you belong to Babalawo. Are you? Oh, you are a Christian. So what is your problem with Babalawo? But it's a freedom of choice. Religion is a freedom of choice. When we were in our mother's wombs, we never knew what we were going to become. It's only God who will mold us and fashion us and bring us out as Muslims and Christians based on what place we find ourselves.
So I think I know we'll spend the whole day with this, but we have to stop here. The SGF needs to attend to other issues. He has to go and order his sponsor to sign checks for Cornelius to do something. And so what we have, we have a short 2 minutes goodwill message from the representative of the IG, who is here, the IG, and then the KAICID, the international organization, just 2 minutes because there's no time. Then we request the SGF to talk to us and declare it open, and then we'll take a group photograph here, standing. Then we take a 10-minute break while we set together. we set the stage for the closed session. So thank you very much for your contributions. We really appreciate it. For those who couldn't contribute, it's not possible for everybody to talk. But if you have any other thing you want, we have a secretariat, a functional secretariat. We have an email address. Write to us. Feel free to write to us on any issue that you think we can do better. Advise us. This body is yours. Even if you are Babalawo, you can still reach out to us because we are working for Nigeria. Send to the secretary here. There's an office at the SGF's office. That's where our office is. And but we are trying to see how we can get out of a place to a more prominent place. So we thank you for your comments and contributions, and may Almighty Allah see us through all turbulent times, bring peace and stability to our country.
We in the police, we appreciate the need for religious tolerance, cooperation, which normally is necessary for peaceful coexistence, and this transcends to national growth and development. I also want to say on behalf of the police that we will support all activities of NIREC. And I want to appeal to all Nigerians that we should be more security conscious and also help or assist the police in our crime fighting and the war against criminalities. What I've observed is that, crime is not, limited to any particular religion or ethnic group. And even the victims of crime and criminalities also are not limited to a particular group. And so it is the responsibility of all of us to ensure that we support the police in the fight against crime. So thank you.
I am not standing in for my Secretary General, but I have his mandate to congratulate NIREC for this wonderful event and to congratulate NIREC for being very, very active of recent. We have seen what you are doing. We are very, very happy that you're doing it. And we are KAICID is very, very happy to be associated with NIREC because we are birds of the same feather. Both KAICID and NIREC are into interfaith dialogue. And so KAICID is in Nigeria to complement what NIREC is doing. And KAICID has set up an interfaith dialogue forum for peace, which is a platform of 100 Christians and Muslims to do interfaith. And we're very glad that the co-chairs of NIREC are the patrons of this organization. We're really very happy to be associated with you, and we're happy about the theme of this meeting, which has to do with the nexus between religious leaders and government, civil authorities. We are hoping that at the end of this conference, there will be a good relationship between religious leaders and government, because religious leaders are really, really very, very key to nation building. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Let's welcome the Secretary General to the Government of the Federation, Boss Gida Mustafa, as he gives us his address.
It is a pleasure to be here today to present these remarks at the fourth quarter 2019 council meeting of the Nigeria Interreligious Council, themed Religion and Civil Authorities in Dialogue for Nation Building. I thank the co-chairman and members of the Secretariat for being steadfast in maintaining the peace and harmony we currently enjoy in the country. Let me take this opportunity to truly thank His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, who has been unrelenting in his efforts to ensure peace and harmony prevails in this country. In the last 1 week, he has consistently, along with other traditional leaders here, been at different meetings. I had the privilege to be at the meeting of the Northern Traditional Rulers Council meeting, their General Assembly in Kaduna on Monday. On Tuesday, he came to Abuja and continued with consultations. And yesterday, he presided over the General Assembly of the National Council of Traditional Rulers of Nigeria. And this morning, he is chairing the fourth quarter meeting of NIREC to bring to closure the activities of NIREC for this year, 2019. So the whole of the week has been dedicated and committed to the pursuit of peace in our nation. And I think all of us in this hall should learn from these very key lessons that in spite of his stature in the community, the leadership role that he plays all over the world, he is still committed to the nitty-gritties of the evolution of peace in our country. And for that, Your Eminence, we owe you a lot of gratitude as a government, as a people, and as citizens of this nation for this great job that you have taken upon yourself to ensure that our country is placed on the trajectory of sustainable development and peaceful and harmonious relationship amongst its religious faithfuls and the different diverse ethnic communities that we have in this nation. The federal government recognizes the effort of NIREC in bringing the two major religions in Nigeria together to provide religious leaders and traditional rulers with a veritable forum to promote greater interaction and understanding among the leadership and their followers, as well as lay foundations for sustainable peace and religious harmony in the country. The time has now come for governments at all levels to sit down and discuss the issue of religious tolerance and peaceful coexistence with our religious and traditional rulers, because the success or failure of security administration in the country depends largely on both institutions. You therefore remain in the front line of stakeholders in the business of peace building in every community. Your Royal Highnesses, our religious leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I want to congratulate you all for providing leadership for other African countries. I note with pride that the West African Interreligious Council has chosen Nigeria as the headquarters and has appointed one of our own as the Secretary General. I think it's a thing of pride that we are setting the pace in this direction. In spite of the fact that we are one country that is quite complex and quite diverse, but God helping us, we've been able to fashion for ourselves a pedestal on which we've created at least a platform for dialogue, for interaction, and eventually for the resolutions of issues that arise on a daily basis and that kind of threaten the solemn foundation on which this country has been standing. I want to assure you that we will do everything to give all the necessary support that NIREC and other organizations desire and demand, so that out of the government cycle, because you are the first respondents when it comes to conflict resolution, you are the one that deal with the people on a daily basis. We will be able to strengthen your hands, that when conflicts arise, you can just in a split second be able to address the issues before you escalate it to government at the different layers of our society. This is a call to higher responsibilities as we strive to promote peaceful coexistence, tolerance, and unity. I want to assure you that government will continue to give all necessary support to the religious and traditional institutions to assist in bridging the gap between government and its citizens. I enjoin all Christians, Muslims, and even our traditional adherents in Nigeria to cooperate with government to grow a better nation. Religious tolerance promotes peace and harmony, while peace is a veritable tool for nation building and development. Once again, I congratulate the Nigerian Interreligious Council for hosting regular meetings and programs to advance the cause of unity and peace amongst different religious faithfuls. And thank you for mediating in the conflicts in the states, like mentioned today in Kaduna and in River State, that had issues with religious institutions in Nigeria to maintain peace. Peace is indeed cheaper than war, and we must strive at all given times to live in peace, and as all men, constantly pursue peace. On this note, I expect to receive resolutions that will be reached at this meeting, or communique that will be issued at the end of the meeting for government to consider and, if needed, to implement. I wish you very fruitful deliberations. And on this note, I have the singular honor and pleasure to declare open the fourth quarter meeting of NIREC for 2019. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Long live NIREC. And I thank you for your kind attention. Thank you and God bless.
And with those words of thank you and declaring open the fourth quarter meeting of NIREC, I would like to call on Most Reverend Dr. Benebo Fubara Manuel, President of the Christian Council of Nigeria and Vice President of the Fellowship of the Christian Councils and Churches in West Africa, to tell us thank you.
A little child was taught the basic rules of grammar. She was taught comparatives and superlatives.
Your Excellency,
and so the child was taught tall, taller, tallest, big, bigger, biggest. And the child wanted to translate that into thank you. So she said, I thankest you.
Leaders of our country here present, my task is
on behalf of the NIREC, the Executive Secretary who has been the hand on deck, the co-chairs of NIREC, I want to thank everyone who is here present for being here. Without you, this program would not be a success. I want to thank particularly
So she said,
the non-members of NIREC who have come in here to be part of what is going on and to
behalf of
translate, at least to some degree, this concern and passion that we have in ensuring unity among the religions and unity with the government.
I want to thank everyone.
From the Christian point of view, the translation of today's meeting is not new. There is a sense in which the history of the church can be written as a commentary on church politics, church-government relations. And I'm sure that in some sense will be true of the Muslim religion too. So the particular concern of negotiating peacefully with the government and living well for the good of the society is not negotiable.
Today's meeting is not.
We cannot close our eyes to the poverty of our people and call on God as if we are living out of reality. We cannot close our eyes to our sons and daughters who come out of the universities and stay for 15, 20 years without a job and claim religion on our side. We cannot close our eyes to our children who are on the streets, whether they be more from one religion or the other, makes no difference. They are God's creatures. We cannot close our eyes to the devastation taking place in communities. When we gather like this, we say we are gathering to say no to those things. And I want to thank you for being part of this gathering, part of this story, part of this move, and part of this commitment.
And stay for 15, 20 years without a job.
May God bless you all,
and claim religion
and may you
on
find
our
peace
side.
wherever you
Close our
go.
eyes to our
Amen.
children who are on the streets, whether they be more from one religion.
We have come to the close of this opening session of the fourth quarter meeting of NIREC. I would like to respectfully call on Sheikh Adam Idoko to please take us in the
Reverend
closing
Dr.
prayer.
Samson.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب
اللهم صل على
ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة
وعلى آل محمد
وفي الآخرة حسنة
كما صليت على إبراهيم
وقنا عذاب النار.
وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك
O
حميد
Almighty Allah,
وبارك على محمد
the God of peace,
وعلى آل محمد كما باركت
we
على
thank you
إبراهيم وعلى
for
آل
bringing
إبراهيم
us together here
حميد مجيد
and for starting our gathering in the name of your Lord. We therefore praise you for bringing this opening ceremony to the end. O Allah,
O Almighty
we
Allah,
glorify you for bringing peace and for giving us opportunity to be among those who promote peace, understanding, and peaceful coexistence in our country. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us. May Allah help our country and help the entire world to have peace and to advance peace and to bring development. In this, we glorify your mighty name. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
to promote peace